Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to our entitled people, where people truly believe it's all about them and no one else matters. And in today's episode, we're dealing with entitled scammers, guys, who think they can outsmart people, and spoiler alert, it's backfiring so hard on them. You'll love the stories today. Try not to shake your heads too hard at some of these, and as always, you can send or link your post to this email right here. Let's dive in. So a few years ago, I, female, freshly 18, was looking for a lash kit. I found a seller on Facebook Marketplace with a beauty professional page. The page was kind of dead. There were no posts, very few followers, but the page was old and she used her real, very unique name, which felt reassuring. She said that she had just one kit and she wasn't a regular seller. I asked why, and she said she bought it for a class that she missed, so now she was reselling. I thought, fair enough. I asked 3 more times if the kit was brand new, and she swears it was. We met at a mall. I was running errands with my hands full, so I trusted her, and I didn't check the kit, which was a dumb move on my part. I then get home, and some pieces were dirty, others were missing, and I was shocked, but mostly, I was offended about being scammed by such a dumb, lazy person. Like, for F's sake, at least try to clean your stuff to make it look new so no one finds out. I just told myself it's $20 to forget about it, but I couldn't because it wasn't about the money. It was about being evil, lying, and not even being able to do so with care. Somebody could have bought her stupid used kit, but no, she had to go full sleazebag. So with that, I start digging the likes and followers from the page where she had sold me the kit, and I found her real profile and saved it. I then messaged her page with photos of the dirty and missing stuff, still hoping that this was a dumb mix-up or something. I was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. But no, she then hits me back with, no, it's new, you bought it, so tough luck. And then she blocked me. And at this point, I'm thinking, cool, now I don't feel bad for what I'm about to do. Now what she doesn't know is I'm very good at stalking. It's a skill I try not to use because I tend to go into rabbit holes and it's unhealthy, you know? But now I'm going to ruin her. I start from her personal profile that I saved. I even found out the husband had a kid from a previous marriage who went no contact, and I think I know why. Because comparing the dates his and his scammer's kids were born and the date he got divorced from his first wife, the math wasn't mathing, if you know what I mean. The next day, I commented screenshots of our conversation under her closest relative's posts. I would say, is X your family member? She scammed me for 20 sad bucks. Are these the family values? I needed her to know that I wasn't playing because then I messaged her real profile saying, "Hi, do you remember me, the girl that you scammed?" Well, apparently she's a cosmetologist, so I dragged her for selling a dirty kit, knowing that these substances go near the eye and that it could go so badly. I then said if she doesn't return the money, I would blast her info everywhere. Her 5 Facebook profiles, her 3 Instagram accounts, I would release her and her husband's IDs, phone numbers, car model, license plate numbers, workplaces, names of the closest relatives, you name it, on every single Facebook group she used for business. Well, after reading that message, she calls me immediately and she's nervous. She begged to meet and fix it and that she'll give me what I paid for. Her husband then sends an angry voice message threatening to sue me. And I'm thinking, yeah, right, over $20. I agreed to meet with the scammer again the next day. She shows up late, brought some angry teenage girl and a huge muscular dude who I thought was supposed to intimidate me, but he was actually the nicest guy ever. She ends up giving me my money back and the product, with the promise that I don't blast her on socials. I deleted the comments, blocked her 5 profiles, and then peaced out. Justice served. I friggin' love this post, guys. Like, it's always funny how scammers are so friggin' tough, but start to panic upon being outed, right? And let this be a lesson on why you should never, ever, ever mess with anybody. Because you never know the depths that people are willing to go through to get back at somebody. And like OP said, 20 bucks isn't that much money, and I'm pretty sure she got away with it a lot, but little did she know she picked the wrong person to mess with that day. And this person comments, "You should have blasted her anyway, since she wasn't taking hygiene seriously, despite being a cosmetologist." And guys, if you think that was satisfying, we're just getting started. Listen to this next post. So this has been a favorite story among my friend group over the last few years, so I figured I'd share it here. From 2018 to 2022, I was a consistently broke pizza delivery guy. My common method for vehicles was to buy cars for less than $1,000, do minor repairs, and drive them for 3 to 6 months until they exploded. I'd make about 10 times on the car, and I would wash, repeat, and I did this probably 7 or 8 times over the years. The only time I ever got burned was buying a '98 Civic Coupe. I remember I was really broke, but I needed a car for work that week, and Civics and Corollas were the easiest and cheapest for me to work on. So I text the guy, and I drive to Felony Flats in Portland, which is red flag number 1. And I was greeted by a man with a gold grill, red flag number 2. The guy didn't speak much English, which wasn't helped by my poor Spanish. The car itself was pretty beat up cosmetically, but it ran perfectly, so I gave the dude 800 bucks and then head to work. And this is where the games begin. The next day, I head to the DOL to register the car, only to realize that the title was voided due to the car being in a wreck. So I wouldn't be able to register it until I got the proper title. It's annoying, but I figured the guy made an innocent mistake. So I call him and leave a message saying that there's issues with the title, and the guy doesn't respond. I call him about 100 times over the next 2 weeks to get it figured out, but the guy keeps ignoring me. And at this point, I figured I've been had. So I move the car to a public street to deal with another day. Cut my losses, right? Well, one morning, I come out to find tickets for no registration and no insurance left on the car, which is about $150 to $200 between the two, and a tow warning. At first, I was enraged until it dawns on me that the car wasn't in my name, and those tickets weren't mine to deal with. So from that point, I made a plan. Every few days, the car would get re-ticketed and tagged for towing. I would come out, place the tickets on the driver's seat, move the car a few feet, and erase the tow warnings. After 2-ish months, I had racked up about $3,000 in tickets on this car that's not in my name. One day, I get this frantic call from who you'd guess. The man who sold me the car, who miraculously learned perfect English. I think at this point he realized what I was doing. The guy's telling me that he was getting calls from the city, and he's begging me to not let them tow it, and that he would get me the title that week. He told me the delay was because he and his wife were in a nasty divorce, and she had the current title. I simply responded, "What car are you talking about?" and then just hung up on him. As I was leaving my apartment, I saw the cops there getting ready to load it on the tow truck, and I decided to let it go, just in case the former owner came looking for it. Ultimately, I never got my $800 back, but the guy got about $3,000 in tickets, which probably turned into $4,000 now for being unpaid. He also got a $1,000 tow bill, and if the story about his divorce was true, a super pissed off ex-wife because the car was still in her name, and you can't put a price on that. I've never heard from him or the city about the car, and my only regret was not driving it to an empty parking lot and leaving it in a handicap spot. I just didn't want to risk being seen on the cameras. I hope you enjoyed. Again, you never know who you're messing with, and I think what OP did was the best way to go about it, and I can only imagine the freak out the guy had when OP responded, "What car are you talking about?" Like, way to play the person who tried to play you. And hey, it does suck that he didn't get his $800 back, but I think that was an $800 well spent to teach a jerk a-hole a lesson about scamming people. Recently, I got a spam text message. It was one of the obvious scam lead-ins asking me, "Hello, "Is this Jessica's phone?" I assumed it was a scam attempt, but to be civil, I replied politely that it was not. I then get a series of follow-up messages explaining their assistant must have copied the number incorrectly and apologizing for the inconvenience. They then introduce themselves, asking for my name, at which point I was certain that it was an attempt to scam me. So I said I wouldn't be providing my name, and they tried to continue to engage me in conversation. So then I explained who I am. I'm a parent with a child who suffered from a life-threatening illness, and that I had to spend staggering sums of money on her care. And since I had done him no wrong, why was he trying to defraud me of money? I kept coming back to this. Next time you look in the mirror, make note that this is what a person looks like who tries to steal money from the parent of a sick child. Now, I figured if there was any humanity there, I might get the chance to live rent-free in their head for a while, or maybe even encourage them to take up a more honorable profession. An hour or more passed, and they come back to me how I was in the USA, and our imperialism was responsible for all the world's problems, etc. At which point, I replied that my assumption was that he was in China, and while I might not like how the Chinese government treats people of Hong Kong or Tibet, that wouldn't justify my trying to steal from a random person in Shanghai. I sent that and heard nothing further. I decided to follow up and troll a bit more, and none of the messages went through, and that's when it dawned on me. I had said Hong Kong, Tibet, and mentioned Uyghur in the same sentence to a guy in China. I'm pretty sure that's the trifecta to hit their police state monitoring system. So the guy might be getting a bit more attention from the local authorities than he was really looking for. I don't know for sure, and I probably never will, but it makes me feel good to know that I might have actually done just about the only thing that could cause the guy to get in trouble locally. And for those who are wondering why I think the guy was from China, there's a few reasons. One is that he gave his name as Luan. Another is this exact type of scam was written up as an example in a major newspaper, the New York Times, and the perpetrator was identified by law enforcement as originating from China. My thinking as to why the guy may have gotten into trouble is that in the event a live person ever reviews the message traffic, it may merit a referral to law enforcement. You know, whatever the outcome, I think we can all agree that phone scammers need to get a frickin' life, right? And that most are just scummy human beings for taking advantage of people. I just really hope that what OP said happened to the guy and he faced some consequences. And this person says, I once spent a fun day trolling a scammer who was trying to get me to buy iTunes cards, scratch them, and then send pictures of the codes. I was apparently the stupidest person they've ever met, I'm sure. But they were so kind and so patient as I slowly learned how to take a photo on my phone and how to send the pictures by email. They were so gentle with me and all was okay, until they opened up the attachments that were photos of my middle finger. So here's a little backstory. I'm a pizza delivery driver, and most of our business comes from a large college campus nearby, meaning there's lots of entitled, drunk, stoned, annoying, stupid college kids ordering. We deal with a lot of BS from them, and we rarely get tipped there. So this is what happened. I'm doing my normal deliveries to campus, which involves calling each customer to come outside the dorm to meet me, as the doors are locked and only students have access. I remember this one guy asking to take me out on a date a few times, and I politely declined. Keep this in mind. Well, the next day, I get a text from my boss asking if I remember delivering to a particular college student. She then gave me his name and phone number to look up in my call log to see if I delivered to them. Sure enough, I had called that number the previous night, and I actually remembered that specific customer. Refer to what I said before. Now, let's call the guy Chad. My boss then told me that Chad called the shop and he complained that he never received his order the previous night. So she looked up the order details and saw that I had taken it, as there's a record of every order showing which driver took the order, customer information, all that stuff. Now this infuriated me because I know for a fact I delivered to Chad. I even remember what the guy looked like and what he was wearing. And I really hope he didn't get malicious, all because I refused to give him my number. The guy had filed a corporate complaint saying that he never received his order and he wanted a refund. His argument was the delivery driver, me, probably gave his food to a random person and they signed his credit card receipt, stealing his food. Now this doesn't add up, because if I had given it to the wrong person, wouldn't he have called me back asking where I was? If I had food delivered and the driver said they were outside and weren't there, I would have called back immediately wondering where my food was. Chad waited until the next day to call and complain. And I thought to myself, oh heck no. There is no way that this entitled idiot was getting money back for food that he already ate. So I called his phone number and I said, "Hi, this is your Domino's driver, the one who delivered to you last night. I'm not sure why you're trying to say that you never got your food when I clearly remember handing it to you. Therefore, you won't be getting a refund." The guy hung up. A couple of weeks go by and I guess Chad got over it because a college campus order came through with his name on it. This was my chance to confront him face to face. So I got to campus and tried calling him, but it wouldn't go through. He blocked my number. So I asked someone if I could borrow their phone. When Chad answers, I say, "Hi, this is your Domino's driver. Remember me? I'm gonna need you to come down with your credit card and ID so I can make sure I'm giving this order to the right person." He hangs up without saying anything. A minute goes by and a girl comes down saying that she's picking up the order for him. I say, "I'm sorry, but I'm gonna need him to come down since last time he tried to say I gave his food to the wrong person." So he comes out and it's clearly the same dude from before and he obviously recognizes me. He then snatches the food out of my hands and he walks away without signing the credit card receipt. Now technically, if you don't sign the receipt, we can't process the payment, so technically you're stealing the food, confirmed by my manager. So I call up campus police and they said if he doesn't sign the receipt that he'll get arrested for larceny. The cops show up, go up to his dorm and bring him downstairs, and the look on his face was priceless. The guy signed the receipt with no tip, of course. After all of this, you'd think that he wouldn't ever order pizza from us again, but no. The guy kept trying to order from us and we would have to cancel them immediately. So now he's blacklisted from the shop. Don't mess with this delivery girl. Yeah, the guy totally deserved that walk of shame by the campus police to sign that receipt. Like, what an a-hole, right? And I know that OP didn't outright say it was because she turned him down, but man, some people do get that malicious when they don't get what they want. But yeah, whatever the reason, the guy was a sleazebag for trying to scam for free food. Like, I used to work in fast food, guys, and people would literally eat their whole meal and then try to get it comped. Some frickin' people, I tell you. Here's some background. I'm an avid Transformers fan, and I still collect figures to this day. Also, this happened well over a decade ago, and I still love to tell this story once in a while. A few years ago, I was looking for a BotCon exclusive Shattered Glass Rodimus. The prices on eBay were too damn high, so I turned to the Junkion exchange on TFW2005.com. I've bought and sold items there several times, and I've gotten great deals, so I figure, why not? The next day, I get this message from a user who I'll refer to as Dumb Scammer. The guy said he had a Shattered Glass Rodimus and said he would sell it for $200. That was at least half of what they were on for eBay at the time, so I accepted and I sent the money via PayPal as a gift. Some of the balance was paid via PayPal balance and the majority off my credit card. About $50 from PayPal and $150 from CC. This detail is important later. In short, the dude lied. The guy never had the figure I wanted and he scammed me out of $200. So I went to the forums calling this guy out and I asked for help from the mods over there. After doing so, I called PayPal. Sadly, however, since the payment was sent as a gift, there was nothing they could do to refund me. However, the rep told me that since about $150 was paid from my credit card, I can file a claim with them. He told me what department to call, who to talk to, and what sort of claim to file. And I thought, awesome. He also put a note on the scammer's account to be investigated. So after calling my credit card company, somebody on the forums emailed me saying that they knew this seller in real life, and they gave me his contact details. Now normally, I don't support doxing someone, but he's an entitled little thief. So F him, I thought. I called the guy and I left a voicemail and text. The guy later called me and he tried to play dumb. And he said that his TFW 2005 account and his PayPal were hacked. And I'm thinking, really, what a coincidence. I told him that he should refund my money or I would call his local police and have them sort this out. The guy caved after that, and he gave me a sob story how he needed the money to buy his daughter a Christmas gift, that she's really sick, yada yada yada. I didn't buy the story, and I threatened legal action. The guy had to have his girlfriend send my money back through her PayPal account, since his ended up getting locked due to all this nonsense. So I got my PayPal balance of $50 from him, and my bank credits me $150, so I got my $200 back. But here's the kicker. I never told him that I filed a claim against him with my credit card company. Keep in mind, he only sent me back $50 for PayPal. My credit card company refunds me the $150, so $200 total. So that meant they had his info too, and they would come after him to recoup their costs. A week later, my bank calls me, and they told me this seller was claiming that I breached PayPal's terms of service, blah blah blah. I called the guy again, and I told him if he ever lied again, I would call the cops. About an hour later, my bank said everything was resolved, and to have a nice day. Yeah, let that be a lesson. Never send people money on PayPal as a gift, and always question half-market value purchases from an internet stranger who's asking to have money sent as a PayPal gift. Like, I don't want to say that OP walked into that one, but they might have walked into that one. And seriously, you gotta love that sob story that scammers try to tell when they're caught, right? I had to scam you. My daughter was very sick, and I needed money to buy her gifts. I'm a 26-year-old female, and I don't look like I would know a single thing about cars. I'm 5'3", long blonde hair, soft girly appearance, and an eternal baby face that makes me look about 15 to 16 years old. I also drive a rather beat up looking 2004 Avalon. That said, my brother and dad are both mechanics. It's not my profession, but I've learned a thing or 7 from them, and I'm very comfortable working on cars. Also, I'm only mentioning my appearance because it's common for mechanics to assume that I'm an idiot about cars. So that said, a while back, I was pretty overwhelmed with life, and I didn't have a good space to do it, so I took my car in to get the oil changed. This place offered a free of charge head-to-toe inspection for any repairs that might need to be made. And the thing is, I knew my car was fine. I had pretty recently changed the air filter and the brake pads, and the rotors had maybe 40,000 miles on them and they were in great condition. New serpentine belt too. Literally, just didn't feel like changing my oil. And here's some relevant notes. Before I went to the shop, I actually checked my air filter, and it was in fact pristine. Also, I usually call my dad while I'm working on my car, so we can chat, so that he knows what repairs or maintenance I've done, and that my car's well taken care of. After they changed my oil, the guy comes back with the inspection results on a clipboard, and he was holding my air filter. The guy had a grave look on his face, like something was wrong. Mind you, this was a very busy place, and there was lots of customers in the waiting room. The guy told me we need to go over the results because my car was about to be completely broken down on the side of the road, and that it's not safe to drive if I don't get several repairs done as soon as possible. He tells me that I need new brake pads, new rotors, new calipers to replace the serpentine and drive belt, a new air filter, a new air compressor or my AC won't work, and a couple of more generic things. The guy then shows me my air filter, and it was filled with dead grass, a dead wasp, some dirt, and hair. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. The guy really scooped some stuff off the shop floor and he put it in my new air filter to freak me out. And the total was about $1,500 worth of work. He then goes on to tell me it would be way more expensive anywhere else, but he's willing to give me a deal if I were to book it in to get the work done. So I immediately start buying myself time, asking basic questions that I knew he would have to explain. So I could nod at him all wide-eyed while I came up with a good way to respond to what he was doing. I would ask, what does the serpentine belt do? Is it important, etc. I then text my dad saying, I'm calling in a second, just play along. I told the guy, oh my goodness, that is so scary. I can't believe I was driving around like that. Thank you so much for caring. I don't have the money, so let me call my dad real quick to see if he can help me out. I can't afford this. I then proceed to enhance my dramatic performance by even working up a tear while calling my dad. Meanwhile, the guy's standing there in front of me with all the customers. I put my phone on speaker and then give my dad a whole sob story. How I need money again and I'm so sorry, can he help me? He then asked what the repairs were and how much. I said, I don't know, but it sounds really bad, Dad. He says it's really dangerous. Dad, I can't be without a car. What am I gonna do? Then, I asked the guy to tell my dad what the repairs were. The guy rattles it all off, and my dad's playing his part perfectly. He's saying, oh, wow, oh my goodness, I'm so glad you caught this, so my daughter's not in danger anymore. Little did the scammer know that he was the one in danger. He then hands the phone back and I drop the facade and I start laughing really hard. As soon as Dad hears me, he starts scream cackling into the phone. I said, Dad, did you hear this? Get this, he brought me my new air filter that I just put in before this to show me how dirty it was. The guy pulled crap off the floor or something and he rubbed it on there. Dad and I continue to crack up. The scummy mechanic was beet red and completely at a loss for words. He had his head down and he was stuttering some response. I handed him my air filter and I told him to go vacuum it out and make sure to let me see it before he puts it back in. I sat and watched him put it back in once it was clean, and also watched him pull my car out to make sure he didn't do anything horrible when I wasn't looking. I might have taken this a little too far, but I really hate when mechanics take advantage of people who don't know anything about cars, so I felt this was a massive win. Big props to my dad for his performance, and for teaching me about cars. Scummy mechanics are the absolute worst, aren't they? And I hope the guy was fired for pulling that little stunt. And from what I know, a lot of mechanics do get paid by the job, especially at large dealerships, so upselling is something they have to do to make a good living. But being scummy is not the way. And let me tell you this. So my friend's a mechanic for Honda, and he told me one time this guy he used to work with tried to pull a shady stunt on a customer. Like, the guy recommended a full-on brake pad change for the customer, and even going as far as to take a picture of the quote old worn brake pads that he happened to pull out of the scrap bin to show the customer that he's got no brakes. Well, little did the scummy mechanic know, the guy had recently changed his own brakes and he slapped on brand new pads. Long story short, there was a lot of raised voices from the customer, and Honda had to give the guy like thousands of dollars in free services for who knows how many miles. But yeah, that's r/entitled people for you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's an r/entitled people episode where HOA Karens think they own the whole town. It's such a wild episode, so go check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.